Mr. Miyagi's involvement in the Seikai Taikai raises questions about his past and his dislike of tournaments. Kreese's origin story with Kim Sun-young hints at a deeper connection that molded him into a villain, and Terry Silver's fate remains uncertain as Cobra Kai decides whether he will face consequences for his actions.
Actions have consequences.
When it comes to characters like Kreese, Kim Sun-young and Mr. Miyagi, Cobra Kai has a lot of questions to answer before it can end. In the first 5 episodes of Cobra Kai Season 6, the Karate Kid sequel shed a great deal of insight into a number of important subjects, such as the rules of the Seikai Taikai, the fate of John Kreese and Terry Silver's martial arts mentor, and more. But in the process, the show raised several new mysteries as well. And here are my 5 questions that need to be answered before the show ends. Did Mr. Miyagi compete in the Seikai Taikai? Easily one of the biggest surprises of the season was the reveal that Mr. Miyagi may have competed in the Seikai Taikai. Recognizing that the pattern on the team captain headbands for Sam and Robbie is the same as the one found in Mr. Miyagi's possessions, Daniel came to the realization that Mr. Miyagi's mysterious backstory and the tournament are somehow connected. Part of what makes this so confusing is the fact that Mr. Miyagi had an unmistakable dislike for tournaments in the Karate Kid movies. As Mr. Miyagi never possessed a competitive mindset, he didn't feel that taking part in tournaments was necessary. But if Season 6's headband tease means what it implies, Mr. Miyagi either didn't share this opinion in his youth or felt compelled to compete for a different reason. With that in mind, what motivated him to compete is guaranteed to be on Daniel's mind in Season 6, not to mention what transpired in the tournament and why Mr. Miyagi chose to keep it hidden.
He thinks your boo is shady.
Why did Mr. Miyagi commit assault in 1947? Not only does Daniel need to investigate Mr. Miyagi's role in the Seikai Taikai, he also has to get to the bottom of the assault and robbery case from the 1940s. Using a slightly different name, a clever detail explained by the next Karate Kid, Mr. Miyagi supposedly attacked a man named Jim Watkins and stole an expensive necklace in 1947. Brutality and theft goes against the grain of Mr. Miyagi's character, hence why there's undoubtedly more to the story here. One takeaway from all this is that Mr. Miyagi started out on the wrong path before developing the image he became known for in The Karate Kid. An alternative interpretation is that Jim Watkins was the one who really started the fight and the necklace had belonged to Mr. Miyagi's deceased wife. Or it may be that he was simply framed.
Most points and a half.
What was Sato's problem with Kim Sun-young? Another Karate Kid legacy character with an ambiguous link to Cobra Kai's story is Sato, Chozen's uncle and sensei in Okinawa. In Season 5, Chozen told Daniel that Sato held anger towards Kim Sun-young. As for why that would be, Chozen wasn't aware of the answer. But chances are, it'll be relevant to Chozen's inevitable return to Cobra Kai and Kim Sun-young's Season 6 role. The lack of details about their relationship, but the confirmation that one did indeed exist, is indicative of that. Sato and Master Kim being martial arts rivals could be integral to the fights to come, especially since family honor is so important to Chozen. If he does find out that Kim wrongs Sato in some way, he could become even more determined to ensure Johnny and Daniel's students hand Cobra Kai a defeat at the Seikai Taikai.
But will you help me finally put an end to Cobra Kai?
Is Terry Silver going to prison? Cobra Kai Season 5's ending featured Terry Silver's arrest, but didn't reveal whether he'd actually experienced time in prison for his crimes. Curiously, Cobra Kai Season 6 Part 1 danced around Terry Silver's fate, with Amanda musing about the villain potentially getting the charges dropped. For now, it's hard to say what punishment, if any, Silver will face for what he did. As Amanda pointed out, Silver using his connections to avoid prison and return to the valley is certainly a viable scenario. Either way, it's important that Cobra Kai provide a proper conclusion to Terry Silver's story. As the villain of the Karate Kid Part 3 and the character who set the Seikai Taikai arc in motion in the first place, Silver deserves to have a place in the narrative. Silver showing up does make sense, particularly with Kreese still holding a grudge against him. There's also the feeling that things were left unsaid between Silver and Kenny, who had a strong bond before the latter discovered Silver's cheating ways.
Why do men cheat?
And finally, is Johnny Lawrence or Daniel LaRusso the better fighter? Cobra Kai notably demurred when it had the opportunity to resolve the Johnny Lawrence vs Daniel LaRusso debate in Season 4. That fight ended in a tie, but the same may not be the case for a potential rematch. It would be difficult for yet another stalemate to come across as anything but repetitive and a continuation of the show's unwillingness to commit to a definitive winner. Had Cobra Kai kept them as friends, there may not have been a need for this debate to be revisited at all in Season 6, but recent developments have brought it back into focus. The tension between them worsened as the season progressed, culminating in their friendship reaching a breaking point. A full-fledged fight looks like the next step for the two, similar to what happened between Mike Barnes and Johnny. It may take a fight to break out for the two to make amends. When it happens, Cobra Kai can finally reveal which character is really the best fighter between the two. After Johnny's win over Mike and his impressive performance against Terry Silver's henchman, the odds appear to be in Johnny's favour. But at the same time, Daniel seemed to find his edge when he gained a near flawless victory over Terry Silver. I hope this promises a massive showdown in one of the show's final episodes.